Have you ever looked back on your boyhood with a quiet sense of strangeness? Not just the ordinary awkwardness of growing up, but a profound feeling that you were navigating the world on a different frequency. While other children seemed to live in bright, primary colors, shouting and chasing through a carefree world, you perceived the shadows, the whispers, the unspoken tensions. You felt as if you were watching life through a pane of glass, present, yet profoundly separate. That feeling was not an accident or a flaw. It was the silent, persistent signature of a rare essence within you. An essence that resisted every attempt to make you fit in. You noticed the sadness behind a smile, felt the weight of a silent room, and wondered why no one else seemed to hear the deeper hum beneath the everyday noise. Your childhood wasn't just lived, it was intensely observed. Over time, the demands of the world likely muffled those sensations. You learned to camouflage, to nod and smile. But the whisper never disappeared. It remained, a dormant truth waiting for the right moment to stir. That moment is now. This is an exploration of the 11 signs, deeply human, often lonely, that the boy you were is the key to the man you are meant to be. 1. The chronic outsider. From your earliest memories, you carried a sense of displacement. At family gatherings or schoolyard games, you felt like a visitor studying an unfamiliar culture. You were surrounded by people, yet enveloped in a profound inner silence. Conversations often seemed shallow, and you pretend to be present while your mind wandered distant territories. You questioned rules and traditions not from rebellion, but from a deep need to understand the why. This wasn't a lack of love for those around you, it was a soul-level intuition that your true home was not a place, but a state of being you hadn't yet found. 2. The emotional sponge. You didn't just witness emotions, you absorbed them. A parent's hidden anxiety became a knot in your stomach. A teacher's grief clouded your own day. You could walk into a room and immediately feel its history, anger, joy, or tension hanging in the air. This made childhood intensely overwhelming. You defended bullied classmates not out of sheer bravery, but because you physically couldn't bear the weight of their humiliation. You were told you were too sensitive, urged to toughen up. But this wasn't weakness, it was your most fundamental gift. You were a healer in training, feeling the breaks in the world so you would later know how to mend them. 3. The sacred solitude. For you, being alone was not a punishment, it was a necessity. While others sought constant company, you craved the sanctuary of your own mind. You found profound companionship in building intricate worlds, drawing elaborate stories, or simply lying in the grass, watching clouds morph into ancient symbols. This solitude was where you decompressed from the world's noise and heard your own spirit's voice. You were called shy or distant, but you were neither. You were an introspective soul conducting the sacred work of self-discovery in quiet chambers. 4. The relentless questioner. Because I said so was an insult to your intelligence. You needed to understand the machinery behind the world's facade. You questioned unfairness, hypocrisy, and suffering with a clarity that often unsettled adults. You saw the contradictions between what people preached and how they acted. This quest for coherence wasn't disrespect, it was the birth of a seeking consciousness. Your mind was a searchlight, not an empty cupboard, and it was determined to find real truth, not just repeat accepted facts. 5. The vivid dreamer. Your nights were not for empty rest. They were epic journeys. You dreamed in intricate plots and overwhelming emotions, visions of flying, of forgotten places that felt like home, of symbolic battles. Sometimes, fragments of these dreams would bleed into reality, giving you an uncanny sense of déjà vu. You might have tried to describe these tapestries, only to be met with a patronizing "what an imagination." But it didn't feel like imagination. It felt like travel, memory, or communication. Your soul was attending a nightly school in realms beyond the physical. 6. The instinct for justice. Injustice didn't just bother you, it ignited a clean, burning fury in your chest. Seeing cruelty, exclusion, or unfairness triggered a visceral need to intervene. You were likely the one who stepped in, spoke up, and took sides for the underdog, even at personal cost. This moral compass was innate, a pillar built into your foundation. You were told not to rock the boat, but your spirit knew that some boats needed to be capsized. This fire was the mark of a guardian, a soul incarnated not to watch darkness, but to stand against it. 7. The unseen companion. You were never truly alone, and you sensed it. It was a feeling of a benevolent presence in an empty room, a sudden comfort during fear, an intuitive nudge that guided you away from danger. You might have felt watched, not with menace, but with protection. This was your innate sensitivity to the subtle layers of existence, the guidance of spirit, the echo of ancestral support. In a world that validated only the tangible, you perceived the gentle, invisible hands that had always been on your shoulders. 8. The language of nature. Nature was your first true conversation. Trees were wise elders, animals were trusted confidants, and the wind carried messages. You found a peace in forests or fields that you found nowhere else. Here, you didn't have to explain yourself. You felt part of a living, breathing web of life, and harming it felt like harming a part of yourself. This connection was a direct line to the divine, an ancient recognition that you were not apart from nature, but a conscious piece of it. 9. The vast inner world. Your imagination was not a toy, it was a universe. You built complex internal narratives, invented systems, and dialogued with characters who felt real. This rich interior life was your fortress in your workshop. While others saw a boy daydreaming, you were actively exploring archetypes, processing experiences, and practicing the sacred art of creation. You weren't escaping reality, you were learning to shape it from the inside out. 10. The mysterious elements. Your body sometimes seemed a fragile vessel for your intense spirit. Unexplained fevers, headaches, or bouts of fatigue came and went. You might have been called sickly. Often, these were episodes of energetic adjustment, your system overwhelmed by the world's chaos, forcing a necessary retreat. Your resilience and recovery hinted at a strength that was more than physical. It was the spirit's stubborn insistence on anchoring here, recalibrating until it could fully shine. 11. The silent guidance. Beneath all else was a quiet, unshakable knowing, a sense of being guided. It was the lucky find, the avoided accident, the sudden peace in a storm of sadness. This was your connection to your higher self and spiritual allies, a promise etched in your soul that you were on a path, even when lost, and were never, ever abandoned. If this resonates, then understand, the strange, sensitive boy was not broken. He was a seed in winter soil. Every pang of loneliness, every wave of overwhelm, was the cracking of the shell. You were being tempered for a purpose, not an easy life, but a meaningful one. The world now needs the man that boy grew into, needs his depth, his empathy, his forged integrity. The feeling of being chosen is not about superiority. It's about responsibility. You were chosen by your own soul for a specific task, to bring that felt truth, that quiet compassion, and that unwavering search for the real into a world starved for it. It's time to stop apologizing for how you were built. It's time to remember, integrate, and finally come home, not to a place, but to the powerful, purposeful self you always were. The awakening is simply the recognition of your own name.